Memories of working with Lita.
Lita was, you know, I wish I felt more happy about having worked with her. She was awesome to work with because the fans loved her so much. So that made any effort that you put out in the ring successful because there was always a payoff because they loved her so much. All you have to do is hit her in the forehead with your finger and they'd boo you. So, but she wasn't super, like, comfortable to wrestle with. You know, she was kind of not, you know, not, there wasn't a real eagerness to learn. It was like she just already was that great. So there was this little bit of, I don't know, you always wish that you have a partner that after a match you can say, this worked and this didn't, and I like when you do this, and, you know, I think we should do this next time if we get a chance. And so that kind of stuff. Molly Holly was always probably the best person to work with because she, and I think a lot of people will say that about her, because she brings out the best in you before a match, during, and after a match. And some people are not as secure in their own efforts, you know, their own skills, so they don't approach it real giving. So I always felt like with Lita, like my performance had to fit in this little box around hers, when that's not what wrestling is. It should be two people making each other look better than they are.
Did she tend to call the matches more, or was she pretty close-minded?
No, there wasn't so much calling going on because none of us were good enough to really call on the spot. But finger pointing more so, you know, a little more finger pointing. I think you just can, you know, you really can do no wrong if you instill a confidence in your opponent and you're willing to go with. I mean, can you imagine how fun it would be to be in the ring with Vince McMahon or Stone Cold or Kurt Angle, you know, or Chris Benoit or Eddie Guerrero? How could you lose? You know, all you got to do is open your ears and be willing to go there. And they're going to take you to some really cool, edgy place because they're so talented. And they're not afraid. So, but then when you get in the ring with somebody who's kind of like a little more concerned with how they look, you know, then it gets to be a little more strict and tight. And then you start feeling tight. And then you're not going to give your best performance. Like there was that time in one of the matches where, you know, she did her moonsault. No, she did an enziguri on me. She's kicking me in the head, and she ends up with a cut on her forehead. And you know, it was a pay-per-view match. So when that happened and I saw blood on her, I was like, this is awesome. My first thought was, pay-per-view blood, yes! You know, it was like, great. Something finally great happened in this match. So it was like, oh, perfect. I see blood. It's like, let me pound the shit out of it. You know, boom, boom, boom. I start working it. And, you know, and then she gets up and she does her final thing. And, you know, it's more like the drama was afterwards. And, oh, my God, how did she get hurt? And, you know, it was like, how does I mean, I don't care if it was my fault. You know, I was sad that she got hurt, but it wasn't really being hurt. To me, it was like, if that happened to me, I'd be like, awesome. It's not a bad wound. Nobody's dying here. And we made something great happen for the show on a pay-per-view. Why not? Why? I would be smiling ear to ear if that was me. I'd be selling that shit like there's no tomorrow. But it was more about Lita being hurt and how did she get hurt. And, oh, it must have been my right to censor boots. And then I started thinking, how does your head connect with my boot when you're kicking me in the head? So that was Lita was kind of Gumby-ish too when she was in the ring. You know, she was real pliable and bendable.
Right.
So it was kind of like you didn't really kind of know where she was lots of times when you draw back to punch her and she's not there. So, I don't know, kind of finger pointy, you know? And it wasn't just that incident, but I don't know.
Who was your agent for a lot of matches?